I talk to a spirit. She comes in my dreams.
What is the path to awakening supposed to look like, to feel like? How do you know if you are on it? We ask these very sacred and sometimes vulnerable questions to many different women from all walks of life. A conversation that needs to be shared and heard. I'm Jo Hendy.
I'm Amanda Parker.
And welcome to the Girl Awakening podcast. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, good morning.
I'm so excited.
Yes.
Oh, this lady is amazing. We've had this beautiful lady on before, and she was amazing. That's why we've asked her to come back on again.
Yes, well, we shared her awakening in the first,
Yep.
the first meeting with this beautiful soul, and she's been in our vortex for a while, yes, and it feels really beautiful to have connected the time together to sit and venture into the space that is calling us today, and we're all feeling a similar
Absolutely.
connection.
And this is going to be a very special podcast today for our listeners and us, because we're going to go into a space of healing today with this beautiful lady, because she holds such a divine space. And we just felt like that there's a lot of things going on the planet right now where we could all do with a little bit of space too, and a little bit of healing ourselves. So this is so divine that she's offering this to us and our listeners today. So Joy Baker, welcome back to Girl Awakening, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me back on your show, Jo and Amanda. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And once again, I just want to remind of Joy's offerings to the world is under courage and action, which I feel is a very beautiful call to action for all of our hearts to step into the space of where we want to go today and where joy works in the world too. So yeah, thank you for sitting with us, and summer ending in Canada.
Yeah.
You are today, our little winter
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, you're in Australia winter and I'm in summer in Canada. So
Yeah.
Connecting the hemispheres so beautifully.
Yeah.
So we were talking before we came on around some of your offerings, which you work in person and you work online with people across the planet with energy clearings, activations. Do you want to just share a little bit around what you do in this space before we walk into where we're going to go today?
Okay, sure. So I would say the main area I focus in is like emotional trauma and generational healing. So I don't use a specific technique. It's the years of, 20 years where I started doing this full time. And this gift emerged where I just get out of my way and listen to my guides. And when I'm working with somebody, we'll go deep into that unconscious conditioning. 95% of who we are is our unconscious conditioning, thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and such. And we'll go there. And it still amazes me to this day how when we uncover maybe a stuck belief, a limiting belief, or a pattern or default, once that is identified and acknowledged, and then it's unraveled and sent to the light, it's like everything starts to unfold. And then we just follow the stream of consciousness. So again, it's my guides give me the messages, and I trust is paramount. I just trust what they're saying and to let it flow through. And in that way, we're able, often it might be money, career, health. I've seen big changes in relationships when we uncover what's going on and release attention. And then it's just, we allow a person for their true self to emerge. And when they're dealing with somebody else, we allow the true self of those two people or more to emerge and then come together from a heart-centered place. But it's all, intuitive work. I hear my guides, I channel from them. And so we go deep into the emotional trauma.
I love that. I want to just mention the trust word, because that is a big one for anyone that is traveling through, levels of awareness or consciousness or awakening or any of those things. What are some ways how do you know that what is coming through is the truth? Or, how do you trust that? What are some of the ways that you can lean into that trust? Because I know that, for me anyway, it's like, I suppose it comes back to the patterning and the beliefs and stuff that we've grabbed hold of through growing up and old ways of being and reacting and stepping out of that. Yeah. How do you sit in the trust?
Well, a person's got to start trusting themselves. If you don't trust yourself with your, the five senses, if you don't trust yourself from there, you're not going to trust your intuition. Because I remember somebody saying to me once, I look for that like senses where I can read it or I can see it or I know it's real. Well, with intuition, you have to trust. One of the ways to do that is say, if I trust this, does it make me feel heavier or does it make me feel lighter? If you're trusting something based off the five senses, seeing like sight, hear, and such, then chances are it might make you feel heavier if it's not aligned. If you're asking a question, say of higher consciousness, and like, does this work for me to move forward? Or is this in my highest and greatest interest? To take this job, to ask for a raise, to move here, to start this business, to whatever it is, to be in this relationship is in my highest and greatest interest. And your answer makes you feel heavy and kind of doubtful and I'm not really sure still, then chances are it's come from the five senses, some kind of fear conditioning.
Yeah.
And if it makes you feel light, even if it's like, well, I really want to be in this relationship, but this is what I heard. Really, when I feel into it, it makes me feel free. Maybe I need to trust that. So does it make it, do you feel heavy or do you feel light? And that's one of the ways. But trust starts with yourself. Trusting yourself, trusting your decisions. It's not easy, but at some point, we all have to make a choice to say, you know what? I'm going to make this decision and I trust it. It might not turn out the way I want it to. I'm hoping it will, but I'm trusting that this is the decision and choice I have to make for now. And the more you can do that, then the more you start to trust your intuition.
It's a real leap of faith, isn't it? Really, it's a leap of faith because a lot of the times too, we have the worldly conditions that we've that have been like labels, and even the mother or the father label and the way that you should handle things or can really break down those beliefs, like as in those, like you're really stepping into and this trusting in self is just such a big thing at the moment. And see, it rolls off the tongue so easily, but it's so hard when you're in a situation where you may have to leave a relationship or you may have to not play the game anymore, and sometimes that can be just terrifying for some of us.
Oh, it often is. I mean, when you're trusting your intuition or your higher consciousness, often it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to stay in the comfort zone where you feel comfortable and what you've done your whole lives and maybe learn from your parents, whoever raised you. It's, it's familiar. What's familiar is comforting. That's your comfort zone. And so often, and that's where confusion can set in because it feels like, well, this feels right, but does it feel right or does it feel comfortable?
Yeah.
And if you think of staying stuck there for another day or a week or a month, does it still feel light or does it feel heavy? The other option might feel scary, but on the other side of fear is freedom.
Yeah.
And so when you can step into that, if it feels scary, but it doesn't necessarily feel heavy or dense, then you're stepping into your fear and you'll find your freedom and expansiveness and greater awareness on the other side of that. But it's definitely a journey learning to trust yourself. It took me 20 years of really intense inner growth to start to really trust myself that one, I could do this. I had gifts that I could offer at full time and trust what came through. For the longest time, when I started doing this full time, I just worked from a picture. So somebody would send me their picture. I didn't even do, talk to the person like this or phone sessions. It was just from the picture. And they would send me the picture and whatever they want cleared, or I would just go from the energy in the picture and see what came up. And for the longest time, probably 3 or 4 years, it was like I had this little voice on my shoulder going, "You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong."
Yeah.
And it was heavy work because I had to trust what came through. But in the that conditioned voice, "You're wrong, you're wrong." And then I had to trust that what I recorded, because I record into, tape recorder and send it to the person, that what came through was what they needed to hear in the moment. So yeah, it takes a ton of trust.
And in that space, it's not until you actually share what comes through and you receive the feedback that you actually step another foot forward, isn't it? Like if you hold that information back and you doubt yourself and you separate yourself from that, what's come through and that connection, it's a holding pattern, isn't it? To stay, that's also a comfortable space to stay in that.
Because you even have to
Yeah.
let go of the feedback. You even have to get to a space where you can't rely on the feedback too, because it's like
Oh
that's
yeah,
almost like
absolutely.
saying you still don't trust if you're waiting on feedback. It's like, but
Yeah.
I get that as humans we need that acknowledgement or that validation to be able to go, okay, I'm going to take that next step. But I think we're getting to the place now where discernment and the little nuances of trusting, it's getting so finely tuned now that, we only have ourselves in the end. We can't wait for anyone else to validate or.
I've talked with, clients before, and that's one of the questions I will ask them is, well, what if you work with people, because most people will never get back to you, or they might, eventually somebody, might say something, but most people won't, or maybe they'll book more sessions, but the vast majority of people, if you're doing this full time, they're not going to give you feedback. And it's amazing how many people have said, yeah, I want feedback.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if you don't get that? And they're like, well, why wouldn't they give me feedback? I'm like, well, because we all have lives and we're busy and it might have made a difference, but we don't always say, you've made a difference to me and in this way. And so will that be okay with you? And they're like, well, no, I really want that feedback. I'm like, well, go deeper then. What is it that causes you to need that feedback? Why do you need to be validated? Or what is it about you? Or what hurt is there that needs to be validated? And once a person can really heal the wound, then you get clear on why you're doing this. And it's, or this or any other work. But yeah, when we need that feedback, then we need external forces to validate us, which ultimately weakens us.
I love this.
I
Is
love that.
It's so powerful because and I'm just reflecting on what's come into my field recently is quite a few people have, we're in this media age where we send a message or an email, we want an instant reply. This is the instant feedback, the instant recognition, interaction that we're kind of Pavlov dog trained to now.
Yeah, that conditioning,
it's like-
Pavlov. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, and one lady, I sent a message to a friend the other day, and we're in a conversation, and about 2 days later, she sent a reply, and she said, "Oh, I've just been sitting with that, and I didn't want to just reply without giving, being in a good space myself. Had some things going on. I didn't want to just reply off the cuff. I wanted to reply when I was feeling centered in myself to give you what I was truly thinking or feeling." And I really felt that from her because it was a genuine connection that she was wanting to share rather than just an automated blah, 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 blah,
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like what you just shared then is having that relationship within ourselves where we are not codependent in our interactions with people and that feedback loop that is just a noise really often because do we have an answer within ourselves and can we just share with somebody and continue walking along the way and know that they've received what they need or maybe not and that's okay. It's a big space, isn't it, to that where the freedom and the sovereignty lies in our energy fields and in our heart space.
That's a good point about texting, because often we text somebody and we expect immediate response. And that's all about validation. They're being seen, heard, some kind of validation. And when you can when you can be accountable, you mentioned that word earlier, Joe, and when you can be accountable or when you don't need that validation, or when you can step into the fear, that's when you find freedom. And that's when you find your sense of power. You start to feel stronger because you appreciate being around other people, you appreciate connections, but you don't need it. And there's a difference there. So that really comes to, being, like I always say, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, trust yourself. That's a process, but start to really believe in yourself and talk to the child within you. That is so powerful. I was working with a woman the other day who'd been on the path for, I don't know, 40, 50 years or something like that, and, worked on herself for decades. And right at the end, she came to a really good place, which, that's what I do, bring them to higher consciousness. But then I went, there's something else there. And I realized she needed the connection with the inner child. And it just felt, once we did that, we connected her adult self and her inner child. It was like it just brought, she emailed me a couple weeks after and she said, that has stayed with me. Like she was able to ground into that good place. So that is so powerful. So anybody listening, if you're feeling disconnected from yourself, or you still feel that you need, not appreciate, but you need that external validation, go to yourself and connect with yourself and that child within you, because that's where the wisdom is. I mean, the child, when you can connect with the magical child, wisdom blossoms.
Now we were going to
feel really happy.
Yeah, no, me too. I can feel something. The space has definitely opened up.
Yeah.
Now we were going to go in. We'd love just to hand it over to you now, Joy, and talk about this area that we mentioned before we actually came on the podcast around trauma and where it comes from, where it stems from, how that can lock us into certain ways and of being
the disconnect
from our true self, or our inner self.
Yeah. So you had mentioned doing a clearing on, and this is where I'll go back to generational healing and comfort zone, but doing a healing on, feeling sad and feeling, I don't remember, I forget your exact words, but like wanting to give up and just not being in the, how do you get to the happy place kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that goes, when I thought of that, when I read your email, I thought, well, if you haven't chosen that, if you haven't chosen to feel happy, if you haven't chosen to feel good, if you haven't chosen to feel light and free, then, well, it's never going to happen. First of all, you have to choose it. So I would say that's your first step. If you're tired or just ready to move past feeling heavy and sad and wanting to give up, even saying that, you feel that within yourself. Yeah. And you're saying there's got to be more to life. Like, what else is there? I see other people who are enjoying their lives, are having fun. First of all, choose it for yourself. And so often, this is where you're going to generational healing in the comfort zone. We forget about that. Actually choosing it for yourself, because when something is familiar, it's comforting. That's your comfort zone. So what's a comfort zone? That is the emotional energy field you grew up in. So when you're young, like from zero, well, even in the womb, starts in the womb from the moment of conception, but say especially to about 6 or 8 years old, if your parents or your primary caregivers, who's ever in your family of origin, if they feel, now 95% is unconscious, so even if they're not aware of it, but if they're feeling sad, depressed, grief, loss, anxiety, fear, anger, all of that, even if they don't express that or talk about it, it's within themselves, that's radiating out into your emotional, energetic environment. Now, as a child, you're growing up in that. Now, kids, it's like holding a dry sponge under the tap. So you hold a sponge under the tap, you turn on the water and absorbs the water. We are like that as kids. And animals never outgrow this. We outgrow this about the age of 6. So now you're growing up in energy field. Let's say mom's really busy, doesn't really have time for you, or just is just not really connecting and, emotionally there. she's still radiating out everything within her, all the trauma, all the unhealed stuff. Same with dad, or, you know, whoever your primary caregivers are. You're absorbing all that. Just that sponge absorbs the water. You're absorbing all that. Plus, you're witnessing all the interactions between everybody in the family. That becomes your emotional energy field, and it's familiar. So now you become a teenager and adult, and that energy field is familiar. You know you want to be happy, you want to feel good, you want to feel light, free, expansive, abundant. But you keep going back to feeling sad or depressed. So many people have said, I can't get out of depression. I used to be depressed all the time. I was just my state of being. I didn't even know it. I was just depressed. Or you're anxious and you can't figure out why. I've done all this work on myself. I know how I want to feel, but I'm just sad and depressed, or I can't get out of the depression. It's because that energy field, you grew up in it, it's familiar. What's familiar is comforting. That's your comfort zone. In moments of stress, we default to the comfort zone. So now if you haven't chosen how you want to feel, I choose to feel happy, grateful, appreciate myself. I choose to choose me and be kind to myself and believe that I matter and I'm important. I choose to know and feel within me that I am enough, and actually take some time feeling that. Well, happy. I don't remember being happy for a long time. Well, I remember when I was a kid, you know, it might have been 50 years ago, I went to the playground or I did this, and I remember laughing. And you might have the memory of that. Remember that. And if you can't remember being happy at any time in your life because you've lived a life of trauma or depression, imagine it. Well, what would happiness feel like? Even if you have to listen to something like this, well, it's expansive. Your body moves more easily. You're more flexible. It's easier to walk. Your hips move more easily. That's a form of happiness. And so it's a lightness. It's an expansiveness. So you know how you want to feel in your mind and body. Start to imagine. So it takes conscious effort. So you start to imagine that, well, I would like to choose happiness, abundance. Maybe you want flow with money. You choose all that beforehand, because in a moment of stress, again, we default to our comfort zone. So if you won't choose it in a moment of stress, whether it's figuring out, you know, having a decision, some kind of trauma, or if it's, you know, an impactful moment, like all of a sudden, your default to that comfort zone. Now, you'll still do that even if you have chosen, you know, happiness, to feel free, abundance, courage. You will automatically default to the comfort zone, but the benefit of you having chosen something greater is you get yourself out of that comfort zone much more quickly. You're saying, oh, hey, I'm back here feeling depressed, but this is not how I want to feel. How I want and choose to feel is happy, abundant, free, joyful. You know what? I'm worth it. I'm worth appreciating myself and being kind to myself. Ascension is not about staying feeling happy or in higher consciousness all the time. It's about, when you go back to the third, you know, the fear-based dimension that's heavy and limiting beliefs and such, it's about how quickly how many tools do you have that you remember when you're in that space of heaviness? You're like, okay, I've been here before, I can get myself out of here. The first time, we might be stuck there for weeks, months, you know, days, months, years, and such. But as you learn this and as you choose something greater, you've got this, it's like a mechanic. The more tools you have, the more you can work on a car or vehicle, and the more knowledge you have. Same with the path. The more tools you have, the more awareness you have, the more you choose a higher consciousness, a greater consciousness and emotional state, the more quickly you can get out of those heavy, dark places, whether it's paying a bill. You know, an unexpected bill comes in, car breaks down, and instead of feeling stuck there in despair, and oh my gosh, how am I going to pay for this? And how am I going to feed myself and my kids and family and that? You're like, okay, you know, it sucks being here, but I've been here before and I know how to get out of here. I know how to change my thinking so that I can attract what I'm looking for. So then, and to just touch on a little bit generational healing. And that's why the comfort zone, it can feel almost seductive, because when it's so familiar, it's your safe place.
Yeah.
Well, chances are your parents or whoever raised you, they were in that energy field as well of sadness, anger, grief, loss, anxiety, and such. And it might go back several dozen or even more, hundreds, even thousands of years, this energy field. And that's why having an awareness of what you want to create and higher consciousness is so powerful. And the more you give that focus and you focus on that and you feel into that, the more you will start to default to that, or you will pull yourself out of that heavy limiting place. It'll eventually become second. It's like, oh, I'm back here. Okay, well, this bill showed up. You know what? I'll figure out a way to make the extra money or make it work or whatever it is.
That's real awareness, isn't it? That's the true essence of having awareness when we talk about that.
Yeah. So if you want, I can do a little bit of a clearing now that I've given kind of a foundation.
Oh my God, yeah.
Thank you,
That would be
yeah.
amazing.
Okay, so just take a deep breath in, let that go, and I just want to see where we're going to start. So what we're going to do here is go into the heavy emotional frequencies, and then so that clears the way to feel lighter. And the first thing that comes up is shame and a lot of grief. And the shame is around feeling heavy. Okay, first thing that comes in is shame. There's a belief, many people on this path, spiritual path, inner growth path, feel like I've been doing this for so long, I shouldn't feel this way. And then they feel shame about feeling sad or heavy or angry or whatever it is. So all the ways you believe or you tell yourself, I've been doing this for so long, I should know better, or I should know more. I shouldn't even let myself get to this place of despair or heaviness. Let's acknowledge that and then just let that go. Just let that go. All that does is keep you stuck in the heaviness. There you go. Okay, now some anger has come up. It's actually exploded. And the anger is, okay, all the ways there's been energies, in some cases, maybe even entities, but dark energies like 3D consciousness that has been manipulating you and doing whatever it can to prevent you, to keep you stuck in despair, to believe there's no way out of this situation, and to prevent you from feeling good about yourself, to prevent you from feeling uplifted. Let's acknowledge those manipulative dark energies and release any power they have over you. They have no dominion over you. They have no power over you. You're not helpless around those dark energies. You're not helpless around those manipulative energies. So let's release the power they have had over you until now to keep you stuck in despair, heaviness, and darkness. There you go. Okay, so now there's some anger coming up from your root chakra. It's coming all the way up, right up the center of your body. And it's kind of almost like an explosion of anger, but this is now your anger. And right out through the top of your head. It's just gone right up. It's like, like it shot up like a rocket almost. There you go. Okay, now just breathe. Some deep breaths. There you go. So it's what's coming up now, it's almost like an addiction to trauma and drama. And so any and all ways in which you or any of your ancestors have been addicted to trauma and drama, and that has been your coping mechanism up until now, let's honor and acknowledge that and just let that go. All the ways being addicted to trauma and drama has met your needs up until now, but they have been unhealthy, lower frequency needs. Let's witness that. And we're going to ask Source to support you in getting your needs met in a healthy way. There you go. Take a deep breath in. Let that go. Okay. Now, let's say you've imagined or you have decided that you are choosing to feel happy, lighter, even joyful and inspired. Allow yourself to connect to feeling inspired. Allow yourself to connect to the lightness and the freedom in mind, body, spirit, and soul of happiness. And it's okay if you don't know exactly what feeling happy feels like or being happy feels like. You imagine the lightness within your mind. Let your brain relax. Let any trauma or need for drama in your brain, let all that just relax. There you go. A little bit of shame coming up, but it's just coming up to be released. Actually feels quite light, so we'll just let that be released. And notice and allow yourself to feel light, expansive. Let all your muscles feel light. Let your joints, just imagine them moving easily and effortlessly. Feeling flexible in mind, body, spirit. And let your energy field expand out as much as you're feeling safe. Just let your energy field expand. There you go. And let your energy field connect to other energies that are inspiring, light, joyful, supportive, authentic, grateful. And let yourself feel that. Let yourself feel the lightness and the freedom of that. There you go. There you go. There's your child. That's your magical child coming in, connecting. So let's see all parts of you, your adult self and your child, connecting, communicating with each other. There you go. And as all parts of you connect and communicate, you open up your feet chakras and you feel grounded, grounded to the earth. Open up your crown, connect to the heavens, and feel strong, powerful, confident, connected to divinity. So shokabasa, wala sa shoko, babaka, wala sa shokabasa, wala ka, wala sa shoko, so shokabasa, tukabase, so shokabasa, wala ka, awala sa, soko, so shokabasa, wala ka. There you go, my friend. Namaste.
Oh, namaste.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, that was so beautiful.
So much light in that space.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you so much. That was amazing.
You're
I can-
welcome. Thanks for letting me do that. That
Oh.
moves a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Could feel
Gave my
that.
dog energy. He started walking during
Oh,
it.
I can just feel where there's so many people needing that. You know, there's so many people that are stuck in this, because I could feel it in myself, you know, stuck in this shame and guilt energy. You know, we kind of brush it off like it's nothing, but it's actually quite deep. And it's like, and then when, you know, you step out of it and step into the happiness and the joy, it's like, I could just feel my body getting lighter and lighter and lighter, you know, I could feel the
Awesome.
grounding and then the, you know, moving my space up and then moving my space out. And
Yeah.
it's really beautiful.
Well, one of the ways to, like you said, sometimes you notice you're feeling the guilt and anxiety and such, but you know, life goes on. You go on with life. Anytime you notice it, take a moment and actually say, you can even say just, oh, hi guilt, hi anxiety, there you are. So you acknowledge it. By acknowledging it, you accept it. Then you just say, I'm going to send you to the light. That's all you have to do is, so if you're feeling, let's say you're just having an off day, you don't really know why, but you're feeling off. We all have those days. Stop, just breathe for a moment, say, what am I feeling? And let go of any need to get it right. It's emotions, it's energy. The energy doesn't care if you name it a human word correctly, label it correctly. And so let go of that. Just say, what am I feeling in this moment? And whatever comes up, if it's loss, see, if you judge it, well, what if I don't get it right? Then nothing will come up. And you say, oh, this doesn't work. But if you just let whatever word comes up, whether it's loss or grief or guilt or shame or anxiety or anger, anything like that, just let that come up and go, okay, well, I'm feeling guilt right now. Okay, there you are, guilt. I acknowledge you. Going to send you to the light. It can be that easy, and just letting it go. I mean, you can do that in a matter of a few seconds, and acknowledging that and letting it go. In the moment, it might not feel hugely different. You might not feel any different, but every time you do that, you're lightening that negative energy. And if you do that long enough, day after day, depending on how deep it is, it might take days, weeks, even months. But if you acknowledge your emotions, they will eventually move on out. And you feel much lighter.
I think that's sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go Joy.
Okay, I was going to say we hear this and that's a great idea, and we'll do it once or twice. And we'll say, I don't feel any different. I guess it doesn't work, because we're a society of instant gratification, and we want instant gratification. Well, that didn't work, and go somewhere else. Well, that didn't work. But if you do this and you keep doing it and you make a commitment to doing it, you will notice, even do, 3 weeks, 21 days, 28 days preferably. If you take, it's not 24/7, but just when you're really feeling off, or every day, you can decide at 12, at 8 in the morning, at night, I'm going to notice how I feel. And whatever I feel in that moment, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Whatever I feel in that moment, I'm going to send to the light. If you committed to doing that, say at 12 o'clock every day, or at 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. before you go to bed, chances are you'd notice, especially at that time of day, you started feeling lighter. It might take a few weeks, but you're lightening your energy. We have the tools within us, but it's so easy to believe we're helpless and we can't make the change within ourselves, but we do have those tools. And if you use them consistently, they do work.
That was where I was going to go, was when you shared earlier around the 20-year journey, and like my career in health has been around 35 years. And I was reflecting on when I first started working with clients and the communication that came through energetically and intuitively, and just in my mind saying, I can't say that to them. But the few times that I did start sharing, it was a very amazing clarity for the person to receive around themselves and why certain parts of their body was feeling certain ways. And I think what you just shared is, it's almost like having a membership with ourselves to show up at the gym every morning at that class, and connect in and go through the process and be committed to showing up for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what you're doing. You're showing up for yourself. So maybe we'll do a clearing on this at the end. As our activation is, I want everybody to know you do have that divine power within you. You wouldn't even be attracted to listening to something like this and the other speakers you have in your show if you didn't have the divine power within yourselves, you wouldn't be attracted to that. And I'm saying divine power because often, I didn't realize this, I would use the word power until somebody said in a comment once, why do you use the word power? It's bad. I'm like, it's bad? And then I realized they're thinking of patriarchal power, controlling power and dominant power. And that's not what I'm referring to. So now I generally say divine power, so people are clear that's the power I'm talking about. That source power, the power of all, that's within each of us. But society and 3D consciousness teaches us that we're helpless, because when we can be taught, there's a huge fear narrative being, marketed around the world. So when we connect to that fear, when we attach that fear and we believe there's so much to be scared about, causes us to feel helpless. When we feel helpless, then we feel like, well, I need somebody else to take care of me, whether it's so that's how codependent relationships are created, whether it's with a significant other or kids or government. I need somebody else or a body to take care of me, a government body to take care of me. And it comes from being in fear and helpless, but you're not helpless. You have that divine power within you. And when you can start believing that, when you can start recognizing that, that will flourish. That awakens within you, and you can start to step into that. And that starts when you start appreciating yourself, being kind to yourself, realizing that no matter what you've gone through in your life, what you've done or what others have done to you, it's not who you are. It does not decide your identity. Doesn't decide. That might be your experiences, and you've created your story from there. But that's not who you have to be from this point going forward. And what has been done to you, or what you've done based on your conditioning, that's the human experience you've lived. But it doesn't mean that's your worth. You have value. You have that strength within you. And when you can really realize that, and you say to yourself, you know what? I do have value, and that divine strength and power is within me. And you know what? It's time for me to feel that way, to believe that, and to live my life from that place. It's amazing what can happen. And the people you attract into your life and the experiences.
Yes.
I'm having like complete visions of the Matrix, the movie, where the pods with the humans, where that they're whenever they are in the Matrix, in the fear, they're sucking the life out of them. And they don't want them to be free, because when they're free, they're powerful. That's exactly what you're talking about. It's like they want, there's the power, the negative power on the planet wants us to live in fear, because it can suck the energy from us, which we're allowing that to happen. And, we are sovereign beings, and we also have the choice to choose, which is what you're talking about.
And this is really the first time in this current human history anyways, when we've had the power to choose, because traditionally families had to be strong. I'm talking like 100, 200 years ago, we'd have villages all around, and, 500, even 1,000 years ago. So the family had to be strong. The way the family was kept strong was to ensure that the kids had no autonomy of their own, and they didn't feel. When somebody doesn't feel, they can be easily controlled.
Yeah.
So they would say, boys don't cry, boys don't feel anything, boys work in the field, or they're the hunters. I'm talking hundreds of years ago. Women do this. And I was just talking to a client about this just a couple hours ago. When women used to show any emotions, they were called, unless they were acceptable emotions, they were pleasant, or they were in service, taking care of somebody else. But if a woman showed too many emotions, she was thrown into a psych ward and drugged and such. Now, it's still, women are still fighting for that, or still trying to have others align with, it's okay to show emotions. Men are waking up to that. But if traditionally, when, before these modern times, if the families weren't kept strong, then they couldn't survive the elements. I'm talking, again, 100, 200, 500 years ago. So the kids were not allowed to feel. The kids were not allowed to obey. They weren't allowed to have any autonomy. They had to do what their parents said, and they had to think the same way. If they didn't think the same way, then the family wouldn't be strong. As long as everybody thought the same way, then family was strong. Other families would get together, they'd create a village. They all thought the same way. And that worked, even 50, 70 years ago, 100 years ago. But now it doesn't work anymore. And this is a change we're going through right now. But traditionally, it was acceptable for parents to, look at, it's just recently now where parents are learning, I'm not supposed to hit my kids. I'm not supposed to do this. And where, there's that balance, and men are going, well, both men and women are going through a lot of that and figuring out who they are. Like I had a parent say to me once that it was the first time she'd ever had a session with me. And she said, I used to hit my kids, when I raised them. And it was just what she did. And I asked her some more questions about that. And she said, I went to a meeting one night, and they said don't hit your kids, and this is why. She said, once I heard that, I never hit my kids after that. But I've been taught to raise good kids. You hit your kids to make them do what they were supposed to do. And for her, it was just, that's that conditioning and the generational conditioning and trauma that's passed down. But as soon as she became aware of a different way of thinking, higher consciousness, she stopped doing that old way of raising her kids.
Yeah.
When you were talking around the family passing on behaviors to stay strong, going back a few hundred years, that's a lot of things used to happen in public, like beheadings and hangings.
Golly
It's like fear, this is what happens when you don't do what we say, kind of thing. And even now an extension of that, where the wars are still manifesting to control and create
fear
and
Don't step out of
hold
line.
power
Yeah.
and things like that. It's an extension of that still. And what you brought in before around when we're kind to ourselves and we tap into our higher knowledge of what is true and divine power. None of that has an effect on us anymore. We almost, like, it becomes even though our process of committing to ourselves might be over time, a lot of that feeling of control and that restriction can almost dissolve quite immediately, such as our divine power.
Exactly, yeah. When you're in that place of higher consciousness and your heart connected, you don't even want to connect to the pain body. Most people are, we all have the pain body and those, painful emotions. And we're so used to connecting to others from that place. But once you start to really feel good, you're in this place of happiness and peace or freedom and flow and abundance and such. You're like, I don't want to even connect with that any longer. Like, what was my attraction? The attraction was, it was familiar. It was your comfort zone. But once you learn that new, it's like a new state, way of being, like you said, that heart-centered connection, it's like, oh my gosh, this feels good. And this feels, it's uplifting. And when you can walk away from a conversation or listening to something and new ideas are coming in and empowering ideas and such, that's inspiring. That feels good.
That's exciting.
Versus walking away from a connection or a conversation with somebody saying, yeah, my body does feel pretty heavy, or I am kind of worried about this pain, or what if this happens? But we're used to that. I talk with somebody, well, yeah, I never thought of that. That could happen. And we're so used to that, but we don't have to live in that. It's why I moved, I think I mentioned last time, I moved recently to Vancouver Island, and from the lower mainland, from the mainland to BC. And it's just the energy here and the peace is just, at least in the area I'm living in, well, I think the whole island, I'm like, oh yeah, I made the right decision. I walk out and take my dog for a walk in the morning, and it's just so peaceful. I can walk a few minutes to the ocean, and it's this quiet little spot. And that peace I've never found before, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm so done with the drama. Just so done with the drama.
It's so lovely. The other thing I just wanted to say,
well, because drama can be anything. It can be traffic, can't it? Like, we can, this traffic's driving me crazy, but we can choose to step away from the traffic. That's drama can be subtle. It's not always somebody acting out or us acting out, or, this kind of, a fear or whatever. There's subtle ways that drama will show up in our lives, isn't it? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, go back to what you were talking about before about being easy, because I think a lot of people have that being free or being happy or joyful. There's so much to clear, it's so much heaviness to get rid of, but it actually isn't. What we've learned is it's just a choice, a true choice of standing in it and trusting that you can have it. And, like you said, it won't happen straight away, but, it's about coming back to the process and just saying, okay, this feeling that I'm feeling right now, what is it? Okay, I don't want to feel that. I just want to go here, or whatever what that is. Just keep coming back to what is the way through, the path through, and keep practicing that.
Yeah.
I love that. When you were talking about that, I was thinking I get affirmations on my phone like every 20 minutes, and I was thinking, I could change those and put in, what am I feeling right now? You know, like little reminders like that. Like we have access to these things to remind us now if we can't do it ourselves, just to be able, okay, what am I feeling? Take a moment right now. What am I feeling? Do I want to feel this? Yes or no? It's always just a quick choice, and it doesn't have to be a long process.
Yeah, like you said, we've got all these tools available to us, and especially with all that, technology, there's so many ways to leave reminders and such. And I don't want anybody to get the impression I'm not doing it right. It should be easier than this, because your path is your path. And depending on what lifetime you're in, what you have to work through, it might be a more difficult path than others, and that's okay. So any ways in which anybody's comparing their path or what they've accomplished, or they feel they haven't, let's just let go of that. Just let go of it right now. Feel the weight of that. Be released. Comparison, when you're comparing yourself to somebody else, that is keeping you stuck in 3D consciousness. So chances are, if you're listening to something like this, you're ready to be free of that heavy fear-based 3D consciousness. So at the same time, let go of comparison.
Yeah.
Comparison was only designed, whenever it was designed, how many hundreds of years ago, or 50 years, whenever it was designed to keep people stuck. It's like right or wrong or good or bad. We'll get stuck in right or wrong, and we'll say, I know I'm right about this because I have all this proof. The mind loves evidence, because when the mind has evidence, it feels safe. I know I'm right about this. But do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy?
Yeah.
And I've had clients say, I want to be happy. Maybe consciously you want to be happy, but your unconscious mind, your conditioning, wants to be right. Because when the job of your unconscious mind, or the ego mind, unconscious conditioning, is to keep you safe. It keeps you safe by keeping everything the same. Same equals safe to your ego mind. And it does that by saying, so sure, the conscious mind says, I want to be happy. The ego mind says, oh no, I want to be right. Because if I'm right, then everything will stay the same. Because then you feel safe when everything stays the same. So really ask yourself, do I really want to be happy? And when you sit with that, you might find, you know what, I really want to be right. And one of the ways to look at that, even if you have all kinds of evidence, we often do this in relationships. Well, I know this person is, this and this, and we'll say, well, I've got all this proof, because the mind loves evidence. It loves proof. Look at what they've done, or look at what they haven't done, and all this stuff. And you can say, I know I'm right that this person is. Or I know I'm right about feeling this way. Well, you can be right, and that's fine. And you might, from a perspective of 3D consciousness, yeah, sure, you're very much right or wrong. Or sometimes we'll say, I'm wrong, but it's that right and wrong concept. But when you say, I know I'm right about this because I have all this proof and evidence about this, that they are this way. But what if I've contributed to this situation even 1%? When you say 1%, and I remember saying a relationship I had in the racetrack, I was in there for 8 years, and for the longest time, I was convinced it was completely his fault. Even though I left, emotionally, he left way before I physically left. But I was convinced it was his fault. And finally, as I became more awake, I really looked at this, and I'm like, what did I do? I'm like, you know what? I stayed. I stayed way longer than I should have. That might have been my only contribution, but I contributed to the breakup of that relationship and where it ended. So rather than completely blaming him, I became accountable. And when I came accountable, I released myself from the guilt of walking away from that.
That's so powerful what you said about the asking yourself, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? I mean, we can all look at that and laugh at it, but really ask yourself, because I know even going through and still now find myself wanting to be right, then letting something go, or wanting to have control of a situation, then letting something go, because it really has no benefit to me or anyone else. And when we do get into that space where we want to be right or in control, the other person really knows nothing about this. It's like you're only really doing it and affecting yourself anyway. So it's like, why am I doing this? Asking yourself, what is the benefit of doing this? Such a
Well, it's
powerful concept.
yeah, it is. And often the benefit is you ensure you're never happy. And then you ensure, because you ensure you're never happy, you ensure you're never in higher consciousness. And if you're never really feeling that higher consciousness and living from that higher consciousness in that more expansive place, maybe you're never really abundant or feeling relaxed or at ease or as healthy or as energetic as you want to be. So ultimately there are benefits, but the benefits often support, a fear-based 3D consciousness. Again, we go back to that's your comfort zone and your safe place.
And we have these 3D ways of identifying with what it means to be right, isn't it? Like, when we talk around abundance, financial security, safety, friendships, relationships, the job, these are all the affirmations of I'm right. I'm making decisions that are right because I have this, or this is here in my life, or, and I guess, would you say that when some of these things that we're yearning for and it don't seem to be showing up in our life is because we're choosing right instead of choosing to be happy?
Oh, often, yeah. Because again, right goes back to safety, feeling safety. Because when everything stays the same, you feel safe. So as long as you're stuck, so if somebody is feeling stuck right now, and it's like this, whether it's a situation or it's a job or money situation, ask yourself, I know I'm right about this, but am I stuck in being right at the expense of feeling expansive, freedom? Could it be I'm scared what's on the other side of that? Could it be that it's going to open me up to so many greater experiences? And oh my gosh, that's fear of unknown. You know what? I'm just going to shrink back and say, I'm right about this, so I'm just going to stay the same. So we hit that, and often we'll touch that expansion of the experiences, and we realize what's possible. And when we actually touch that, whether consciously or unconsciously, we'll just go, oh no, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I know I'm right about this. So then we get on that loop again.
Yeah. There's that beautiful, is it Mandela speech, which is we're not scared of the darkness, we're scared of how how bright we are.
Yeah.
I'm
I know
butchering it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we're more scared of our light than we are of our dark.
Of the darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we often are.
Yeah.
Because the light is unknown. Now we're moving, the whole humanity is awakening, but it takes time. But even those of us have been on the path for a long time and decades, and we've, felt that, it still can be a scary place, especially as an empath and highly sensitive. You're used to it might be some people are just, often we're introverts, or maybe don't want to be around a lot of people, or kind of monitor our time, how often we're around a lot of people. And when you really let yourself expand and you feel that freedom, it can mean you're having experiences with greater experiences, maybe you're around more people. And if you're like, I'm not sure if I want to do that, I don't know if the world's really a safe place, many people feel that. It's like, why do I want to expand? So I'm going to get in the world in a bigger way, and the world's not a safe place. Like there's so many different levels of this. Yeah. So that's why you start with, what, I would really love to feel happy. I would love to have money flown to me easily and effortlessly. And yeah, that means I'm going to have greater experiences. Well, and then you can look at what are the experiences I want to have? What kinds of people do I want to be around? See, when you limit yourself because, let's say financially, because if your money's flowing in with ease, you're going to have greater experiences, be around more people, even just traveling. Traveling, you're around more people. And well, these are the kinds of people I'm going to want to be around that are uplifting, optimistic, that are happy, that are fun to be around, that are heart-centered, that are authentic. You decide that beforehand. And it doesn't mean you're going to be around them 24/7, but the more you decide the kinds of people I want to be around as I expand my, my universe and my life, the more you will attract that, because you're giving it an intentional frequency to the universe, and the universe says, oh, this is what Amanda's looking for. This is what Joe's looking for. Okay, well, hey, thanks for the guidance. Now we know what you're looking for, and we can bring that to you.
No, I love
So
that. That's the
That's
beauty.
that's the source. That's the magic source.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I really love that. It's funny because yesterday morning we were walking, Amanda and I and another friend, and I was having quite an expansive morning in little beautiful things happening. And I was walking along and there was this white bit of kind of looked like rubbish on the ground, but it was drawing me to it. And so I literally went over and picked it up, and it was a coaster, and someone had written on it, healing yourself starts with yourself, without it was exactly what we've been talking about today, without the filter of childhood trauma. That's true healing or something like that. And I was just looking at it, reading at it, going, oh my God, and here we are with you today. It's all so connected, and that's the little pieces of magic that are being dropped along the path that actually fulfill and create that expansion and build the muscle of intuition and trust as well.
That's so that's so awesome when you get that. Actually, it looks like a piece of rubbish, but you went and picked that up, and that message was right there for you.
Yeah.
That's a pretty clear message of the path you're on. Can't become much clearer.
It was handwritten too, so someone had actually written it with a pen.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was really
that's
beautiful.
So cool. Love those signs.
I know.
And I feel like in that space, there's no mistaking that you're sitting with that beautiful tree of life behind you, Joy, because what we're talking around is what you said before around animals never stop being the sponge. Nature never stops being nature, growing in the environment that it's putting down roots, or blossoming, or the birds are flying through. Like, nature just gets on with dealing with the elements, the seasons, the changes in the day. It doesn't say, I need to control this. It flows.
Exactly. Yeah. Nature is such a good example for us. And and if you look at trees or anything like that, when, unless they're evergreen, but they're die and they look, as we all see the leaves fall off and then it's dormant during the winter. But the next year they come back and they're even bigger. A tree that wasn't covering the sidewalk, the next year you're walking on it, it's covering the sidewalk or your fence or something like that. Yet they don't do anything. Nature is such a great example. I remember had a therapist say to me once several years ago, and he was talking about, you want to focus on abundance? He says, go count the blades of grass. There's no way you're going to do it. He says, nature is so abundant. Like, nature will, teach you about abundance. Just try to count the blades of grass. You don't think of it, but grass is abundant. It's like leaves, there's so much abundance. And when we can notice that, it's just like the sign. You thought instead of being a piece of rubbish, you actually looked at it and you got a sign. When we can notice the signs, they're all around us.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, look, we are coming. We've been an hour already, so I don't want to miss out.
An hour of joy.
I know. Exactly, in all aspects. You did mention about doing clearing, I think it was.
Activation.
An activation. So are you okay to still be able to share that part of you and with our listeners and for us? I feel like I've been sitting in a beautiful, incredible session today. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I was just thinking as you guys were talking, I thought it'd be amazing to fly to Australia. It's a long flight, but to visit you guys in person.
Absolutely.
Or maybe you come to Canada,
Yeah. Our arms We're going to create that somehow.
I think that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do a money activation. So I kind of laid the foundation before for, generational healing and growing up in trauma and such, and whatever how your parents or whoever raised you dealt with money, that's your foundation and your comfort zone around money. So let's start from that place. Okay, so you had mentioned earlier about feeling happy around money. Again, you want to choose all this beforehand. When money is flowing to me with ease, I choose to feel. So even before you do, you decide you want to be abundant, decide once money is flowing to me with ease and I allow myself to receive it, I choose to feel, or I will be feeling what? Happy, expansive, grateful, appreciative. So decide that beforehand. That's one thing somebody can do. Okay, so let's take a deep breath in. And first thing that's coming up is a lot of resistance, because like a part of you knows that we are talking about money, and there's a part of your consciousness. And when I say you or your, I'm referring to the collective consciousness. And because we're all connected to that, it will apply to all of us to some extent. And there's a part of you saying, couldn't you have chosen any other topic than money? And money, if we focus on money and I allow more money to come into my life, which is possible, that's what you're saying, which is possible for more money to flow into my life, then that means I'm no longer safe. A lot of grief is coming up here. A lot of grief around, and it's not grief about money, it's about grief about no longer feeling safe. Okay, so all the ways you believe, you can either not have much money, be limited financially, and feel safe, and you feel good feeling safe, or you can have a lot of money and even allow yourself to receive money with ease, but then you will no longer be safe. So there's a belief that if I receive a lot of money and allow myself to receive it, especially with ease, I will no longer be safe. But remember, that's what you were taught. It's not a divine truth. There you go. Okay, there's a lot of shame coming up, and that's coming up right from your root chakra, coming up to be released. So let's just witness that shame. All the shame you believe, all the shame you feel around experiencing having a lot of money, and grief. And the shame and grief is, but what will they think? I won't be accepted. I won't belong to this group anymore. I won't belong to this financial average. And all my friends make about this much. All my acquaintances, my family makes around this much. And if I allow myself to be financially abundant and receive this money with ease, then I won't have this sense of belonging any longer. And there you go. There's a lot of sadness and grief coming up, because a sense of belonging is one of our human basic needs, is feeling like we belong. So all the ways you believe, and there's a part of you that tells yourself, if I allow myself to receive and experience financial abundance, I will be giving up on ever having a sense of belonging again. Let's acknowledge that, honor that, because that's what you believe. And so it's not right or wrong, just acknowledge it, and then recognize that that's simply what you have been taught. It's not a divine truth. So let's just let that go. And we're going to call on Lakshmi, goddess of prosperity. And she says, I'm happy to be here. And she's happy to be in this energy of those that desire prosperity. And imagine Lakshmi is blessing you, again, the goddess of prosperity, or any being of prosperity you desire to be blessed from. Imagine their blessing, showering you with golden, radiant blessings of prosperity. And just breathe and allow yourself to receive these blessings of prosperity. And as you do, know that prosperity, financial prosperity, relationship prosperity, heartfelt prosperity, joyful prosperity, whatever you're looking for, it is your birthright. Allow that. And know that the more you allow abundance and prosperity into your life, and you allow yourself to be that, align with that, Feel that, experience that. The more you are aligned and connected to that light universe, to the angels, the beautiful, non-physical, benevolent light beings, and the more you are connected to physical beings of joyfulness, happiness, higher consciousness, fun, laughter, authenticity, the more you enjoy heart-centered conversations, connections, all because you have allowed yourself to receive with ease ever increasing amounts of money or prosperity of whatever kind you're looking for. And you've allowed that to flow to you with ease and grace. And now allow yourself to feel good about that. Feel so good about receiving abundance, prosperity, and feel good about receiving with ease. Know that you are here to allow yourself to receive. It might be words of affirmation. It might be ever increasing amounts of money. It might be those heart-centered connections. Allow yourself to receive and feel every cell in your body relaxing and being at ease. Feel peace within you. Feel grace flowing throughout you. Soshoka basa wala soshoko babaka soshoka basa wala ka wala soshoka basa. Feeling blessed, abundant, and knowing that your birthright is to belong in that angelic presence. That's where you belong. You know that sense of belonging is yours at any time, in any state of consciousness, in any field of consciousness. You decide where that sense of belonging resides for you and allow yourself to receive and feel good. Feel so good about receiving. Feel joyful about receiving. Soshoka basa wala soshoko babaka soshoka basa wala ka wala soshoka basa wala ka awala sa soshoka basa wala ka soshoka basa tuka base babaka awala sa soshoka basa wala ka wala soshoka basa wala ka. There you go, my friend. Namaste.
Namaste. Oh, wow. That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for giving me the time to do that.
Oh, Joy, I think you just cracked the stratosphere with that one.
You guys both look so relaxed.
Yeah,
It's like,
I
okay, I'm
was
going to go
really-
have a nap.
Yeah, I was really feeling that. That was really, really, really beautiful.
I feel like
Awesome.
you just really reached into some very deep, archaic.
Realm.
Yeah. Cleared all that out. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I don't want to put too much more into the space, but to say we are so grateful for you, Joy. We honor this space and we honor you for coming on and sharing this with us. And I'm so grateful, and I know Amanda will be too, that you have found your calling.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back on your show. And yeah, I'm grateful, so grateful that I had the courage, was able to tap into the courage to bust through fear. Because, yeah, that supported me in talking to amazing people like you two.
Well, you're leading the way
Yeah.
and
no
creating the
mistake.
space,
No
for us to follow.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, darling heart. It really just feels such a absolute blissful connection to have spent this time across the planet together and to share you out into the world even more than we are. And please the links to Joy's information will be in the show notes. Please tap in and reach out to Joy yourself and follow on for what this has meant to you or what it's opened up for you. I really feel like there's just so much expansion coming through as we move away from the fear and into those new paradigms and opportunities that are available to us. And today has just really been a really beautiful offering into what this is for all of us. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Thanks, Joy.
She comes in my dreams.
Thank you for listening to our Girl Awakening podcast. We are also on YouTube as Girl Awakening. We'd love to see you there with comments on how our guests resonated with you or your own awakening. Please share the love with a like and subscribe while you're there. A blissful thank you to Ksenia Luki, the amazing artist behind our theme song. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.